Welcome back to another episode of Seasons of Life, the podcast. Here, we focus on conversations around biblical personal development for Christian women at the intersection of faith and business. Today's episode is a little bit different. I had a conversation that's scheduled with one of my dear friends on how to restore our identities with God. However, it was really heavy on my heart to wait to release this conversation. So I have another episode that I want to share with you because I believe that it is time we have this conversation. And so I want to share a piece of the training that is fundamental as you begin diving deeper into your biblical personal development journey. And it's a conversation around ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Margot Blair. I'm the host of Seasons of Life podcast and your personal growth partner. If you're a Seasons of Life podcast OG, welcome back. Get comfy and make sure that you have your pen and your journal at the ready. Let's dive in to today's episode. I want us to go into part 3. This is where it gets heavy. What are ACEs, adverse childhood experiences? We're going to learn what ACEs are. You're going to meet the outliers and understand how ACEs or adversity impacts adults and the long-term effects if ACEs are left unresolved. So what exactly are ACEs? ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, the traumatic events that occur in one's life before the age of 18. The impacts of ACEs tend to fall into one of 3 categories: abuse, neglect, household dysfunctions. What I want you to understand is that ACEs, when they are left unresolved, can impact you in many ways. When we have not done the work to uproot the adversity that we face, to address the adversity that we face and actually heal, it can impact our life, it can impact our behaviors, it can impact our health, and guess what? That can continue to go on for generations. We have to be willing to break the generational cycles. I know people talk about generational curses, but because again, we are looking at this from a kingdom approach, a kingdom perspective, they're not curses, they're cycles that we continue to repeat over and over and over again. And there are long-term effects that, if ACEs are left unresolved, can manifest in adulthood in various ways. I want to share with you that research shows that adults can face challenges due to ACEs or correlated to ACEs. And a lot of those issues or challenges that they faced were from childhood that were left unresolved. And I'll pause for a moment for you to take a deeper look at some of the research and data around ACEs and the impact these experiences can have on one's life. So let's extract a few key elements that you see in this graphic. And I want you to focus on these 4 areas, kind of submit them to God as well. In that graphic, I pulled out 4 evidence-based truths about ACEs. Number 1, 60% of the human population have ACEs. Remember earlier we were talking about you're not alone? 67% of the human population. Secondly, in 2019, the CDC partnered with an organization to conduct a study on ACEs, and they discovered that 1 in 6 adults experience 4 or more types of ACEs. The third evidence-based truth, more than 70% of people experience imposter syndrome in their life. And number 4, I'm going to stay here for a second if you want to write anything down, if you want to take a quick picture so you have this. Only between 2 to 8% of people achieve their dreams. Of all of these statistics, number 4 is a gut punch for me. After this experience, you're going to sit and you're going to submit it to God, and He's going to reveal more to you. And so with this, I want us to do it all together. I want us to pause, and I want us to take a minute before we transition and land the plane for this training. I want us to take a deep breath in and breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason why I wanted us to pause and take a deep breath, because whether you noticed or not, anytime we have a discussion about adversity or trauma or navigating through challenges in life, it is heavy. And so it's important that we take a moment to pause, to take a deep breath and exhale before returning to your tasks. Now, in truth, at this point in the training, I know that I really could have only focused on part 1 and 2 and let you go about your day. That was the meat. That was the bread. That was actually the practical steps that you could take, understanding what those 3 focus areas are. We even delve into the 7 seasons of life, and I broke those down for you. Season of darkness, the adversity that we face. Season of Genesis, the new beginning. A season of change and transition. Something's physically different. You're in a new environment. You're in a better environment. And then the transition. How do you feel now? What is actually a trigger for you? What's reminding you of the past? You wrestled through that and you submitted to God. God, today was tough, but I trust you. I don't know what you have in store for me, but I trust you. We talked about a season of release, cleaning up the residue in our lives. We talked about a season of longevity, learning to wait and not worry, trusting God through the process. And we talked about a season of distinction. Ultimately, you need to be aware of how your life experiences are interfering with you navigating through each of the seasons of your life. You need to be aware of the areas where you have yet to give God access to your life. A quote by Mike Murdoch says that your adversity is always proportionate to your potential influence. And after learning about all of this, are you willing to get to the root? If you've made it to this part in this episode, type the word seasons. Part of the reason why I want you to use this key word is that I want you to remind yourself that no matter what you face in your life, it is just a season. And if you are willing to endure and trust God through your process, and you allow God to do a transformative work in you, you are able to learn, to grow, to heal, and to make a transformative impact in the lives of others. My prayer is that you're walking away with something tangible, whether that's the awareness of this concept called ACEs, or you've pinpointed a specific aspect of ACEs that you still battle with today. What I want you to know, if you felt that you were walking into a part of something greater than just this episode, you did. This episode was part of a training called Seasons of Life, the Introduction, where we introduce high-achieving Christian women to a biblical approach to personal development. If you are interested in learning more about this training, if you are wanting to inquire about ways to plug into a community of other women who are ready to grow deeper in relationship and knowledge of God, check out the resources in the description below. You are not alone in this process. I am praying with you. I am rooting for you, but it is up to you to allow God to transform you from the inside out. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I look forward to seeing you next week for another guest episode of Seasons of Life, the podcast. Until then, let's continue making an impact.